Welcome back to the weekly news roundup, and I need to see if I can get Rumble online. That would be my mistake. Rumble does not, well, it has the option to do a reusable stream key, but I don't always do a reusable stream key, and I completely forgot in my craziness of the week, I completely forgot to update the stream key on my restreaming server. So I gotta see if I can actually find the streaming link to see if I can actually fix it, because I'm like refreshing, like, Rumble, you're not online yet. Why not? Yeah, it's not online yet because I didn't update my server. And I cannot seem to find any way to find it after you have actually updated the video. So give me just a second. If you are on Rumble, so stand by Rumble. Not working yet. All right. Let's see here. This is a huge problem that Rumble has. It's like once I close out of the upload settings, I can't seem to get in and actually find the settings by which to grab my stream keys. We might have to go without Rumble today. Just because they're not all that great, if I'm honest. Let me see if I can hit the go live. Let me hit this. No. Every past video has a template I can use, but let me see what this looks like. Nope. Yeah, I cannot seem to find a way. If you mess up in Rumble and you exit the feed, I do not know if I can actually get Rumble working. So, yeah. Give me just another minute here, and I'll see if there's anything I can do. So there's read, download, embed, and there's an okay. Let's see if the edit has anything. Settings. Time to record a Windows Wednesday. In fact, I ran on, I think, 4 hours of sleep every night this week, except last night. I think I was able to get 6. So, yeah. So no, it's Rumble is simply a no-go today. If you you can, obviously, YouTube's working, Odyssey works, Twitter works, and probably the Lost Stepchild D Live may still work as well. I have no idea. But anyway, yeah, we're just not going to go on Rumble tonight. My apologies for that. So that's where we're at. My apologies. Okay. Well, if we want to, let's see, let me jump on over here, make sure I don't go back to that screen again. If you want to help support the channel, we have some supporter sections. We have local, subscribe star, Patreon, etc. So you can find those at switchedtolinux.com/support. And we always appreciate support. So with that, we will go ahead and dive on into the weekly news roundup. And of course, we have a couple main topics. Our first topic in the weekly news roundup is a bill so good it will never pass. I mean, this is the bill that we need to pass, but it will never pass. But we'll go ahead and chat about it anyway. And this actually, part of this has to do with the Supreme Court this week is actually hearing the arguments over the Geofence warrants. So this is actually a really good case to be watching. Now, I have a very big problem with this. This case is doomed to fail. And the reason it's doomed to fail is because they found a guy who's clearly guilty, and they're trying to use the Supreme Court to overturn Geofence warrants to get him off on a technicality. And I do not want to see a guilty guy go free on a technicality. It's one of these things. But on the flip side of the coin, and where the lawyers are arguing, is you wouldn't have gotten the evidence to find him actually guilty without it. But the problem is that early on in the phase of the investigation, after they started questioning him, he simply broke down and confessed to armed robbery of a bank. But his lawyer came in afterwards and said, well, you didn't even have business to talk to him because you used this geofence warrant. So I would love it if the Supreme Court heard a case on geofence warrants about an innocent person who was caught up. Somebody who was pestered by the police because they couldn't find any other lead, but this is the quintessential person who jogged by the bank every morning, and so the police thinks they're casing the place. All right, so I am very saddened by the case here because the Supreme Court is hearing whether or not the sprawling warrants for smartphone location data infringes on Americans' privacy rights and violate the Constitution. And in my opinion, it completely does. Okay, the government should not have any ability to go to any source without a judicial warrant on any form of investigation of a person. And while the geofence warrants are judicial warrants, technically they are judicial warrants that sweep up a whole lot of innocent people. So if you are unaware of what the geofence warrant is, this is when some event happens, the police are shy on leads, and so they start probing the big tech companies to say, hey, who's within this area? Of course, this kind of starts and is popular with like Google or Apple, you know, who has this information. Now, of course, with Google made some changes a few years ago that you would have to explicitly opt in to the location tracking inside of your Android device or Google-enabled device in order to capture this. But I was actually a couple years ago, I was watching some of the true crime stuff, and it was like, I don't know if it was 2020 or one of them like that. It was the first case I heard that they were actually using information from a car to put a person at the scene of a crime. And so not only is your Google account or your Apple account or your Microsoft account with that location services turned on now, not only can those be used against you, but now with the proliferation of automobiles, which collect all sorts of data, including very interestingly geolocation data, now your cars could be subpoenaed for the data. Now, the problem is that, and the reason I hate this case is because looking at this, this is Shatry versus United States, originally brought, case was originally brought by Shatry, whose phone location data helped police in Richmond, Virginia track him down after he robbed a bank at gunpoint and escaped with $195,000 in 2019. He pled guilty to armed robbery and was sentenced to 12 years in prison. But his lawyers argue that none of the evidence against him should have ever been admissible to court. You see, I want to see the geofence warrants tried in a case where an innocent person was harassed by the police because of a geofence warrant. That is the type of case we want to see, because we don't have a guilty scumbag who's already confessed to the crime of putting people's life in danger by doing armed robbery at a bank. Go rot in your 12 years and add another 12 on top of it, you moron. May you never enter society again. All right. But they're choosing, of course, for whatever reason, to challenge this, which will pretty much mean that this case is going to be like the Supreme Court, like, okay, no, I think we'll just go ahead and let the scumbag be the scumbag in jail. You know, I don't know. The lawyers, though, they say an individual, the government says an individual has no reasonable expectation of privacy in movements that anyone could see that he has opted in to allow third party to analyze for its own purposes. Now, the problem with this is that many people do not know they have opted into it. You may have opted into it by clicking that check mark on a terms and conditions for an app that you've downloaded. For example, Gas Buddy, find your gas. It's just download the app. It's free. Why are you paying guys like, Matt Walsh, etc., $15,000 plus ad spots? And I made that number up. But they're paying him ad spots to read to his millions of people to download a free app because your data is being harvested and monetized. They're getting the sweet data based on that. And the more people that are convinced to download that for free, I got news for you guys. Without logging in anything, you can find the cheapest gas stations on your current location. All right. It is not that complicated. We've talked about that before. But the question here is, yes, there's an understanding that when you're in public, you don't have a specific right to privacy, but that's the same argument we see with flock cameras. Do we have the right to enter the world without being followed by every form of dystopian CEO? You know, these psychopaths are like, you want the human race to endure, right? I don't know. Let me tell you after I'm done with my next talk on the Antichrist. Yeah, that was Peter Thiel. Yes, he hesitated slightly too long on the question, should the human race endure, while giving lectures on the Antichrist from Rome. Straitjacket someone, please? Anyway, and so, yes, we don't necessarily have the right to privacy if we're walking down a public park, but does that mean we need to be tracked perpetually every time we leave the domicile of our house? Of course, we're even being tracked in there because if you got your smartphone in there and your smart TV in there and, God forbid, your smart toaster in there, it is also tracking a bunch of data inside of your domicile. So you are not even in a public place, and this data is being used against you. Go figure. So law enforcement is increasingly demanding tech companies hand over sensitive phone location data on people at or near a site where a suspected crime occurred. And privacy advocates and some legal experts view geofence searches as a dragnet that sweeps up innocent bystanders. Just because you have a cell phone, should you be subjected to all sorts of law enforcement investigations because of crimes that may have happened in your vicinity? And that really is the crux of the question that is being asked with geofence warrants. So Chatry had turned on an optional Google location history feature that documented his location every few minutes. Okay, so, you might think about this. You've explicitly turned on the feature to track your location, and then you slip your Android phone in your pocket and you rob a bank. This is why I hate this case. This guy needs to go rot in his jail cell, okay? Go rot, dude. If nothing else, go be the president of Idiocracy. I'm going to turn on the tracking location on my device and slip it in my pocket and go rob a bank. I wonder if the phone cameras picked up what he was saying and offered him ads for ammunition. Because the data tracking is getting that insane. I hear you're robbing a bank. Would you like to try these new hollow points? Yeah. What is going on in our world, right? The U.S. government has argued in legal filings that Chatry chose to allow Google to collect and use his phone location data, and that investigators identified him through a warrant. And that really is the thing, that if he willingly goes in and sees, oh, okay, I'm going to do this and allow this. Now, is that really how it happened? Or did he simply, quote unquote, allow it because he entered a checkbox on a random terms of service that popped up for some location or some app on his device? And that's what we don't know. And then the question is this the proper type of warrant? Because as we talked about before, a geofence warrant is open-ended. A real traditional judicial warrant, you have to go to the judge and say, we're targeting this person based on evidence X, Y, and Z. In the geofence warrant, they don't know who the person is. They don't have any information about the time and location of the crime. And so they say, tell us everybody who is in the vicinity of that particular time and location of the crime. And that really is the thing that we're looking at here. And so that does not really satisfy the spirit of seeking a warrant, although it is a warrant, and that's why we are at the Supreme Court asking, is this a legitimate warrant? So privacy advocates warn that the implications of this case go far beyond suspected criminals. If the government doesn't need to get a warrant or link something to a crime, it could monitor a protest or an abortion clinic or a gun range or a church or an AA meeting or a doctor's office. And this is absolutely true. The government could go in and know, okay, at St. Paul's Methodist Church, there's an AA meeting on Tuesday evening. Hey, Google, tell us everyone who was at, the Burger King on Tuesday evening. Of course, the Burger King is right next to the church, right? Well, you'll have all these people swept up in there, and you'll be able to have a record of everybody attending the AA meeting. And the question is what is the legitimate purpose of getting that particular warrant? I don't know. Send in some false flag, but pay some thug a little bit of money to go in, do an armed robbery of Burger King so that you could get the data via a Geofence warrant. And okay, yeah, you found your guy, but you also have a list of all of the innocent people who are attending an anonymous meeting. And so that really is the fundamental problem of these types of warrants. So while this is actually going on, a new law is introduced. This is by Lauren Boebert and Thomas Massey. So this bill here is so good, it will never pass, and it should. And it has one of these fun, pithy names, the Surveillance Accountability Act. And unlike most other laws, this actually provides a little bit of the accountability. This is totally weird. I don't know. This is indeed totally weird. So introduces the Surveillance Accountability Act. The landmark legislation would require federal and local government agencies to obtain a warrant supported by probable cause for conducting surveillance on American citizens in accordance with the Fourth Amendment. Like, okay, here is a law that says you have to follow the law. This is how retarded our government system is. I mean, this makes about as much sense as needing to introduce a law about mutilating your children. Like, what? But we have to, apparently. So this is because of the surveillance technologies by government agencies, including facial recognitions, license plate reader systems like Flock, and commercially purchased location data, Geofence data, and other things. In fact, the Geofence data, hey, at least there's a rubber stamp of a warrant there. Oh no, the way they're doing it, they're just going to a company saying, hey, you have a bunch of location data? We'll buy it. And for some reason, that's they're saying, oh, that's not a violation of the Fourth Amendment because you have agreed that to give that information up to any purpose. Kind of crazy, eh? Kind of crazy. So for years, the federal government has treated the Fourth Amendment like a suggestion. They build a massive surveillance machine that tracks, scans, and spies on law-abiding Americans without a warrant, without probable cause, and without any accountability. That's what they say. All right, so what would this act do? And this is why this bill is so good it will never pass. It will require all government-initiated searches and surveillance activities to be supported by a judicially issued warrant based on probable cause. That's ridiculous! You can't possibly get a warrant based on probable cause in order to engage in surveillance technology. What would we do with all the data in these Flock cameras? Yeah. Okay, prohibits warrantless facial recognition scanning by federal and local law enforcement agencies in public spaces, including at schools and places of worship. So, yeah, you can't go into public areas and just put up surveillance. We're just going to know who everybody is walking by. All right. So 3 is restrict the use of automated license plate readers like Flock cameras to create a persistent location database of citizens without a court order. Yes, banish Flock. Bankrupt Flock. Bankrupt Flock. Send the Flock flying south for the winter. Ban federal agencies from purchasing commercially available location data or movement data to circumvent warrant requirements. Yeah, this is such common sense. Prohibit federal pressure on local law enforcement agencies to share warrantlessly collected surveillance data. Yes. See, this bill has 5 points. They're all great. This is the type of stuff we need. But because of how good this bill actually is, this thing is never going to pass. This bill is dead in the water because the government is never going to give up an opportunity it has to collect any information on people. That's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts about all that in the comments down below. All right, we have our next topic here. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Hopefully we won't get a copyright strike on this one, but we'll give it a try anyway. Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. We want to talk today about you wouldn't give your kids this, would you? I know, that sounds like a very clickbaity title. Did it work? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's farm engagement. We've already engaged in clickbait. Let's go ahead. You all come here to see, would you give your kids this? And this starts with a viral video that came out this week, and it was an absolutely incredible video. We will go ahead and play it, and hopefully not get any copyright strikes, but it will be worth the risk. So let's see what we get. But hey, if you're watching this after the fact, and this part is missing, then it's because some troll's like, "You gotta give me all your money." I was like, no. So anyway, let's see what this says.
Hey kiddo, it's about time for bed, okay?
Okay.
Well, remember, there's a box in the corner over there with all the pornographic material that's ever been made in the world, even the really weird stuff that could scar you for life. I'm trusting you not to look in there, okay?
Okay.
Feelings are for losers.
Oh, and this guy's gonna be in your corner all night just randomly spewing out hateful things. Just ignore him, okay? While I'm thinking of it, there's an order form on your desk where you can purchase illegal drugs. The mean girls from your school are going to be standing there talking about you all night. And this Russian hacker's going to keep asking for your password.
I'm not hacker. Amazon customer service.
Just need you to ignore him, okay?
Love you, buddy. We ask too much of our kids when we give them a smartphone. Let's change the norm. Together.
Maybe we go around the room and share social security numbers.
Okay, so this really hits the thing that I've been talking about for a while. And all of this stuff is like, age verification, right? And it's like, okay, do we stop and wonder, like, how is verifying the age of somebody going to protect your children? No. This ad is so perfect because it highlights exactly what I've been talking about. We need parental digital neglect laws. While we're updating laws for the next millennium, and while we're updating laws for emerging technologies, maybe it's about time to stop caring about IDing everybody before they get on the internet and start saying, hey, parent, keep your child out of dangerous places. And we have to have a way to empower parents who want to take those steps to do those steps. And it should not cost an extra subscription service. I should not have to pay you $9.99 a month to keep my child safe on the internet. But I should have a responsibility to keep my child safe on the internet. And that really is the thing that we want to talk about here. This makes so many amazing points. The first is, and I argue this all the time. I apologize. I'm going to get a little bit spiritual here for a moment because I travel around the country and I see churches, and I see a huge fundamental flaw in churches that I see in America is called children's church. If you are going to a church, you need to start petitioning for the removal of that blasphemous crap. All right. Your children should be in the worship service with you. The idea of children's church is to say, we're going to take these kids and, we might be talking about adult subjects in the church. We're going to take the kids and give them age-appropriate teaching, which basically means you're giving them washed-down hogwash nonsense in the guise of Christian teaching. But did you know that most 8-year-olds have already seen pornography? Maybe it's better if your children learn about these things from the pastor with the family so you can talk about it rather than assuming your children are innocent. And I wrote in my book and Half My Life that kids know far more about these topics than you give them credit for. And one of the people reading my book was a very young man who had a pornography addiction. And he loved that section of the book because he says, yes, I've had other kids at camp professing pornography addictions they can't get out of at the age of 12. We need to stop giving our kids access to all these things and stop assuming that they're just innocent, sweet little children. When your little 8-year-old comes home and you're just thinking, oh, he's just a cute little 8-year-old, we got to protect him from the things of the world, he's probably already seen the things that you think he hasn't seen. Why? Because you have let that stuff into the house. You have not been accountable to keeping your networks clear. You have given him access to devices which can access things. And so this video starts out by saying, hey, there's this place over here in your bedroom that has all sorts of the perverse stuff in the world that you can see, and it's going to mess you up. Would you do that? Would you leave a box of Playboy magazines in your child's bedroom? I don't think you would. So why are you leaving a smartphone in your child's bedroom? Okay, and then we get onto this. We get onto the weird hate dude, whatever. He's just over there just spewing out all sorts of nonsense. And yeah, he's over there. And then you got the girls from school that are there. Okay, you got that going on for you. And then of course you got the hacker there trying to get in there. And then you got the place to get all the bad things on there. This is the parent's job to keep your kids safe from this. And you are failing at your job when you simply hand them a device. And this ad was so spot on. This needs to be the mantra that we use going forward. Anytime somebody talks about age verification, you should say no. Maybe you should just keep your kids accountable and let the internet go on as it was. Ooh, it might be unsafe on Roblox. Roblox shouldn't exist. There should not be a place on the internet where children can get together with internet strangers and engage in conversation. Roblox shouldn't exist. Now, I know the market economy might crash and some CEOs are going to lose their golden parachutes if Roblox were to fail out. But you know what? Why don't y'all just go take your stuff and build the same thing for 18-year-olds? Enjoy. Do it. And the problem here we have is that people just are not all that willing to take these steps. You want to blame everybody else around you, and that is a fundamental problem. And this collection of articles is kind of a mishmash of reasons and hows and whys and just examples of the dangers of it. And this is an interesting one here. So a mom got a call from a cartel who tortured her daughter until she paid their ransom. Of course, it was all an AI scam. And this is horrible. You're like, oh my. So this lady gets a call. She drops off her 15-year-old at school. This is a Las Vegas. And so she gets a phone call. Her daughter's crying and screaming on the phone. She's been kidnapped by a cartel. All right. So she says, I get the call at 8:30 in the morning. And the first thing I heard on the call was my daughter. It was very clearly her voice. She was crying, screaming, and pleading with me. A man named Angel said, there you go. A man named Angel said that they would keep on hurting the girl until she paid them $15,000. Angel said they grabbed the girl because she witnessed their men conducting a transaction at the school. So she goes into all this. It's like, this is just unraveling to you. All right. So eventually what ends up happening is they end up, her sister calls the school because they're like, don't call the police, don't do anything. So she lets a family member know. They call the school and the girl is fine in school. The kidnappers have cloned her voice with AI. None of this is real. You say, well, how does this relate to this video? Because you giving that device to your child is speaking around this thing, and it is collecting your voices. It is sending that out to data brokers. Data brokers are selling voice samples. AI systems create it. And with all of the stuff you share on social media, it just gives the hacker the perfect package of information. And these guys are really good at knowing where to pull those heartstrings. And I thought of this the other day when, I won't get into that story. But there was a case I saw the other day where I'm like, why are you letting these children near these devices? Because it raised a situation where this seems like an innocent thing to you, but there's so many apps listening in on this device. And it's a fundamental problem. It really is. It really is. So the FBI says this has been happening lately. They were using AI generated pictures. Now they're cloning your voice as well. All of this happens because you have given your children access to these devices. And this is a frightening thing that you should not do. Of course, now that we're all addicted to video games and stuff, PlayStation 5 owners will be locked out of certain features if you don't do this one thing. Age verification. That's the one thing. Footnote, age verification. If you do not verify your age, you can still play. You can even still play online, but you are not able to communicate or chat or anything else, which basically means, and I don't haven't played an online game for years. I mean, the last time I played an online internet game was Warcraft 3. Okay, that predates World of Warcraft for you people keeping tabs. It's like, oh, World of Warcraft. No, Warcraft 3, well before World of Warcraft. All right, never touched that game. All right, but back then on Warcraft 3, you get on your BattleNet, and you basically get, a bunch of random people get thrown into a game on a random team, and you could go in there and you do your little thing, and if you're good with communication with your keyboard, you can chat with everybody else that you're in there with, and you've never heard of any of these people. They don't know you, you don't know them, and you can do things. And I'm sure there were certainly cases where you'd get over there and be called an idiot or a moron or whatever else. You're just like, screw you, whatever. I'm here just having fun, and so you get a lot of these circumstances. What if these games are working the same way and you need to randomly communicate with the strangers you met on the internet to do this? You're basically an invisible player who can't interact with anybody, which basically means your experience is bad, everyone else's experience is bad, and this is going to give you a ton of peer pressure to just fork over that ID. Come on, man, this is your relaxation after all. Of course, you fork over your ID and you're the one that's developing that malware stuff because they've stolen your ID and verified their Google account with your stolen ID. Why not? I mean, come on. But yeah, UK PlayStation owners will have until the start of June 2026 to comply with the mandatory requirement or face being unable to use certain features. So the age verification is needed to allow specific functionality such as chats, messaging, and live stream. And of course, they're using, guess what? A third-party service. These never leak. These are perfectly safe. Not. And so, in terms of the video games industry that specifically applies social aspects of online play, it says hard for game publishers and console manufacturers to ensure underage players don't hear or read inappropriate language. Ooh! Okay, once again, parents, keep your children off of these things. Okay, there are a million things your kids can do that do not involve getting on the internet with strangers, particularly to do something as mind-riding as playing a game. And I don't say that offensively. I'm just saying you're not necessarily gaining a lot of it. I don't know. Maybe in our modern era, hey, if you're a really top 10 video gamer, maybe you're going to be recruited by the Army to pilot the drones. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking old school here. But the reality is there are far better things your children can be doing than getting on the internet with random strangers and chatting. Period. Of course, speaking of Roblox that should not exist, hackers stole hundreds of thousands of Roblox accounts. Is your child's one of them? 610,000 Roblox accounts were reportedly stolen. So between October 2025, January 2026, the hacking group said it have compromised 610,000 Roblox accounts, including at least 357 high-value elite accounts, making around $225,000 from selling access to them. Hackers distributed info-stealing malware disguised as game enhancement tools. Operation targeted Roblox accounts because they hold significant monetary value for many users. Accounts can contain high Roblox balances, limited edition items that can no longer be obtained, years of gaming progress with achievements, unlocks, and paid access to premium content. You're stealing accounts so you can play things you can't play anymore. Okay, I'm going to go back and reaffirm all of the brain-rotting comments I just said. I'm sorry. So if you've recently downloaded any suspicious game enhancements or other Roblox-related software, your first priority is to run a full anti-malware system scan, and then check for unknown, untrusted browser extensions and keep only those that came from verified, trusted sources. Or how about maybe keep the ones you've installed, But, just be aware, they're stealing it. Now, to wrap up this section, I was on the fence about whether I was going to look at this one or not, but it's an opinion piece that comes out of Proton, and they did make some pretty good points that are just worth reiterating as we talk about these articles that we had just mentioned. So, we must keep age verification from killing anonymity online. Online threats to children are real. But the headlong pursuit of age verification that we're seeing around the world is unacceptable in its approach and far too broad in scope. Few people would argue that kids should have unfettered access to adult material and self-harm videos on social media platforms that are manipulating them to expose them to abuse. Yes, this is true, but this is the thing. This stuff is on the internet. You have to keep your children safe from this stuff. This is why you are the parent. You're the parent to keep them away from the people that give you the heebie-jeebies. You're the parent. You're supposed to keep them away from the sources they have. You know, we used to have the Mr. Yuck stickers you put on stuff and train your kids really well. If you see this yuck sticker, it's yucky. Don't eat it. You know, that's what we used to do. Yet we need a giant Mr. Yuck over the internet. Okay? But let's say as a trained chemist, I can use those Mr. Yuck cleaning chemicals to wave a tapestry of cleanliness when used appropriately. I'm okay if you want to drop a couple of F-bombs. I'm not a huge advocate of using them myself, but I'm not going, he said bad words, just get over it, And I'm not going to tell everybody else they need to regulate their speech around me. I'm just going to, I might, however, choose to not spend time with people who I think need to have the regulated speech. That really is a principle there. And this is the thing. The internet is the bad part of town. By its very nature. You only go in the bad part of town when you have a very legitimate need to go into the bad part of town. And what I'm looking at here is to say, hey, let's not worry about all this kind of stuff. Let's go to the bad part of town, holding on to our kids for safety, and not let them journey down there alone. That's what we need to do. And then now we have this. So people are sending out passports and videos and fingerprints. What's happened? The same thing as always happens. The data gets leaked. We delete your data immediately. After we leak 70,000 IDs, of course. It's crazy. So they, of course, mentioned the Discord loss there, as what I was referencing. The more sensitive data you stockpile in privately held databases, the bigger a target becomes for criminals. This is also a reason I prefer to self-host all my information, even though it is a little bit harder to do. Because I am not in a giant Zoom database. I have my own self-hosted Jitsi instance. All right. So I'm not going to be caught up in some teleconferencing system account takeover. I'm just simply going to allow myself to, let's see. Oh, that's good. I have my own system. If my own system gets compromised, nobody else's data goes down with me. Just mine. But I'm also not a huge priority target. Why is somebody going to spend all this time trying to hack into a single small Jitsi server on, half a gigabyte of memory on a cloud server somewhere, It just, there's nothing there. That's what we're talking about. And the challenge is there's no heroes. European Union unveiled a mobile app that checks people's age, and it took hackers a matter of hours. One claimed only 2 minutes to discover fatal flaws. So here's EU. Yes, we're going to have a global age verification. We will manage it all. And it's built so crappily, they hacked it that quickly. So, of course, big tech, Apple, Microsoft, Google, these people are notoriously for collecting all the information possible. They're not trustworthy to be able to verify this information. Of course, now we're getting a whole bunch of third-party companies coming up to do this, like Yoti and a bunch of other ones. Why? And are these guys actually truly deleting the data? Have they been audited, by external auditors? This is an important thing to mention. With age verification, we are on the cusp of once and for all requiring ID for every single person to go on the internet. All right. So what's more, they're known to cave to state pressure and ban apps. So if every Apple account in the UK is tied to a government-issued ID, how long will it be before every other country expects the same? So when online anonymity is stripped away, whistleblowers keep their mouths shut, people in desperate need of help don't ask for it, and democracy itself suffers, as those who would seek to hold their government accountable don't always want to do so with their real name attached. That is true. Here are what the real threats are, according to Proton's opinion piece. We certainly cannot entrust it to the same giants that have proven track record of exploiting our personal information, or to the faceless new companies with incentives to misbehave, or to the governments that, let's face it, have their own history of failing to protect user information or abusing it themselves. And bit by bit, we need to tackle the real root cause of so much of these the harm we see online, the advertising and attention-based business model that gives almost every company incentive to spy. Now, their final point there, as you can see, centers around, hey, maybe we need to do something about this advertising industry. And I agree. We need to do something about the advertising industry. But we also need to say this isn't about protecting the kids by IDing everybody on the internet. This is about protecting the kids by being parents to those real kids and keeping those children off the internet. Because that device that you have is the box to all of the atrocities of the world. You would not let your 8-year-old meander into the world with the atrocities of the world alone. Stop giving them a smartphone. And if the Congress is going to do anything, you need to implement laws for digital neglect. That is what we need to do to protect us. Let me know your thoughts about all that in the comments down below. All right, we have finished up our topic sections here. We are doing pretty good for time. Apologies for that Rumble snafu. I'm going to have to email Rumble and find out if there's actually a way to get those stream keys. Let's see. Ivan's on. Greetings, XQE. On YouTube it freeze, but not on here. Oh, did DLive shut down? Really? Why did you title it Will Never Pass? Does that poison well for idealists in the audience? Are you silently judging us for hoping? You're also an Amazon affiliate. That undermines your authority here. You're really in bed with Big Corp. Okay, yeah. You want integrity, not collaborate. You know what? If you could find me a place where I can get things, now Amazon kill everything, I'd be in for it. But you're 100% absolutely nothing to do with Amazon, period. Yeah, go screw yourself. Let's see. Why does that really matter? Trustworthy or not like Amazon? Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it, you know. But at the same time, you know, there's things you absolutely cannot find many things you need. Like, for example, I was just looking for a specific type of water filter. You cannot get it anywhere but Amazon. It can't. And every single store has filtered itself, boiled itself down to only selling products by the 3 big name brands in that particular field. I don't want GE's water filter for the GE products. I'm looking for a standardized generic water filtration system. The type of thing that is easy to produce, tons of companies make it. Why can't Home Depot pick that thing up and store it on its shelves, making me order it from Amazon? So to take such an approach, yes, I think Amazon has done a lot of atrocities, but it's one of those atrocities like paying taxes. I can't get out of it, but I make every effort to not do it. Okay, business deductions, etc. But at the end of the day, I got to get on there and just say, yep, we absolutely have to. We have no choice sometimes but using some of the things that we may not want to use. So enjoy. This will give your 8-year-old the car keys to get groceries. Yeah, I'm too busy and lazy to raise my kid. There you go. All right. Let's see. We got 36 watching on the Tubies. Let's see. Tubies or not Tubies? No one you know. Greetings. Let's see. We are in the Matrix. I said it's kind of sort of like mini ops control center. One monitor has Matrix up, the other one Nextcloud. Nice. Hey, I'm dual monitoring the van here, man. That's the rockin' stuff. All right. Launchpad editor. Let's see. Like Batman everywhere. Honey was making coffee, whipped cream, and ramen. Ooh, there you go. Not a Rumble, said be here. Yeah, my apologies for the Rumble stuff. Do it for Kit Kats. Do you do it for F1 Kit Kats? Reese's Sticks, coffee, yes please, with milk. Well, at least Rumble does not use AI to shadow ban people and do not force ads. Yes, that is true. Rumble's been having all kinds of trouble this week. The Android app on my tablet at one point wouldn't even let me see that. Interesting. Something my are we still good on YouTube here? All right. My YouTube preview screen went back and started playing the beginning. Are we still on YouTube? I don't know. Let me know. Are we anywhere? I don't know. Am I talking aimlessly into the void? Let me know. Let's see. Broken, frozen. Can't remember last time we used Odyssey. Back, it's back. Refresh all. Yeah, I actually did not have any indication that it wasn't doing well today on my end. No longer operation. They've closed down. I guess I should take that DLive stuff off my page end, shouldn't I? Sheen Scratch, Shadow Matrix. Should stream to X or live stream seem to be fairly stable. I could. I mean, I could give X some money. Watch several YouTubers that mirror to X. Okay, to be clear, Twitter no longer exists. It's X now. Yep. Too confusing, too similar to X11. I'll continue to say Twitter. Yep. Bird site. There you go. Elon's bird site. How about the router ban? All right, now we need a global privacy protection, not just in the USA. Let's see. Late night. Hello. Are you Sarah Connor? Okay, I'm glad this week it's over. I was being crazy. Had my catering company sent me to nearly raw chicken yesterday and called it cooked. Same with the Salisbury steak today. Kitty, what are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? You know? Come here, Kitty. Come here. Yeah. Yes. All right. You want to say hi to people? Want to say hi? Say hi. Say hi. Let's see. Not now, John. All right. Good note. I was able to use Lenovo ThinkPad. Hollywood waits at the end of the rainbow. Yeah. Okay. Oh. Ow. Sorry about that. The cat's got confused for a moment. It's like, I gotta get out of here. Roblox should not exist. Yeah. Online gaming is a trap for kids. Yep. You should really be asking us why the government even have the authority to tell you how to manage your child. So it's not that the government's telling you to have authority to manage your child. It's that the government always steps in when parents don't manage their child. That's the thing. What is really the difference between digitally neglecting your child versus nutritionally neglecting your child versus physically neglecting your child versus emotionally neglecting your child? So there's already a track where we do not want the government to step in and say, you should do this, this, or this. But when certain signs and symptoms manifest themselves, it's the parents that need to be ultimately held accountable to what happens to that child, not society at large. And that's why I make that point. The oligarchy has won. Never! As long as we have our Linux rebellion, it will not win. Unfortunately, some distros are cucking, so oh well. Definitely an old school boomer. Yep. Back in my day, gaming was for children. That's right. All ages. Some of my senior clients worked in. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's I just don't play games for other reasons. I don't think it's like that. It's just I choose different hobbies for myself. So let's see. Missing the point. Go play games. You're missing the point, you little whippersnapper. Go play some games. It's a honeypot for the kids. That's right. Amen. Oh, Roblox when it started, well, wasn't as bad as it is now. Yeah, I did play games and I was online and I'm fine. Parents did my job. Yeah. If you want generic filters, get Brita. No, there's a specific application I need. We're not looking at that type of stuff. I'm looking at a specific application. Growing old is mandatory. Growing up is optional. There you go. Yep. Here are all the Linux distros getting a pan distro exploit. Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, is you still had to have physical access to that computer to cause the issue. But yeah, I mean, talk about the vulnerabilities in Windows too, you know. But yes, Linux has a better security model than Windows does. Okay. Wait, what? Yeah, sure, Linux will just stay away from the updates like the plague. I think you completely misunderstand Linux. Those patches, when they're made available, they're made available through like Linux. In this case, what you're looking at is a Linux kernel. That Linux kernel is patched, and that update goes out to nearly every single distribution in the world almost instantly as an option. So, that's I'm not sure you actually have an understanding of how the Linux bug system works. But anyway, we'll go ahead and pause there for now. We will start in on our quick lines after I have another swig of coffee. Just as some type of exactly what it is. It's some type of coconut coffee. It's actually really good. Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup QuickLines edition. We will look at 9 quick articles here related to tech and whatnot, and then have a couple of SillyVille articles to end our night. Let's go ahead and have a look. Our first one here, we have Apple, just as an update to the Apple Epic court case. Apple loses the bid to pause the App Store fee changes as the case heads to the Supreme Court. So this case is going all the way up to the Supreme Court. Apple wanted to say, hey, don't make us implement any changes until after the Supreme Court weighs in. They lost that bid. They are now going to be forced to allow developers to the option to link external payment options without charging commissions on those purchases for now, and then we'll see what happens with the Supreme Court. So that's really just an update here that they were trying to not have any changes made until the final court case rules in, and they lost their bid. Sad. And this was actually really good news out of Colorado. So Louis Rossmann did the best overall analysis of this entire thing. Of course, it was over several different videos, so I will summarize. So Colorado released a really good right to repair bill. And it actually was a very good bill from, standpoints of bills and how good bills can be. So it wasn't like, wow, this is the best bill in the history of the universe, but it was a good bill overall. And so with that, though, it came into effect, and then a bunch of senators get paid a bunch of money by a bunch of big tech companies that don't want to actually allow right to repair. And they're like, well, the governor even said, which was a lie, the government said there should be a carve out in this and we need to fix this. Now, that's completely a lie. They did not do that. Louis Rossmann's been offering thousands of dollars for any actual evidence that that is the case. Like 2,000, I think it was 2,000 to the senator or the charity of the senator's choice for providing the actual reference to that, because he says that's all made up. But effectively what happened is the senators came down, and without really listening to anybody, caring what anybody said, they decided to pass this amendment which carved out a critical infrastructure line. And critical infrastructure, though, was set not by any government aspect of the law. It was indeed set by the company itself. So if, according to his example, if one particular laptop model happened to be used anywhere inside of a government system, then, well, that just means it's critical infrastructure, so you're not allowed to repair that laptop. Or anything by our company for that matter. So they're trying to get it in, and it passed through the Senate. It really succeeded through there because their senators out there are just a bunch of corrupt potheads or something, I guess. I don't know. Well, it went to the House, and the House shot it down really bad. So for now, Colorado still has a good right to repair bill with some teeth. And a lot of this came because of Louis Strassman making out calls for people to come in and other groups as well. And while the Senate was able to ignore all of the people in the room, the House was not actually able to. And they basically looked at it and said, no, we cannot possibly pass this thing. And so it died right there for now. Of course, like all these bills that die like this, it's going to keep coming back as the zombie bill until pieces of its skin are rotting off. And eventually it'll pass by being amended to, some part of some omnibus spending package or some nonsense like that. But the good news is that for now, right to repair survives in Colorado. All right, so this is the most severe Linux threats to surface in years, catches the world flat-footed. Oh dear. This is copy fail. So this is a pretty serious vulnerability. It is pretty old. It is a local privilege escalation and a vulnerability class that allows unprivileged users to elevate themselves to administrators. So it can be exploited with a single piece of exploit code, and it works across all vulnerable distributions with no modification. So an attacker can, among other things, hack multi-tenant systems, break out of containers based on Kubernetes and other frameworks, and create malicious pull requests that pipe the exploit through various workflows. So means an attacker who already has some way to run code on the machine, even its most boring unprivileged user, can promote themselves to root. From there, they can read every file, install backdoors, and watch every process and pivot to other systems. So they do need the ability to get in there and actually read-write something in the system. So this is pretty vulnerable, pretty security. So works reliably for Ubuntu 22.04, Amazon Linux 2023, SUSE 15.6, Debian 12, they said. Isn't Debian on 13 now? I think Debian's on 13. So why does it matter if it's shared infrastructure? Local covers a lot of ground. Anyway, we'll not read that whole quote there. So realistic threat chain looks like this. An attacker exploits a known WordPress plugin vulnerability, gets shell access via www-data. They run the copy fail POC. They're now root on the host. Hey, WordPress websites, make sure you're up to date. Now, of course, there was a huge breach in cPanel this week as well. I don't remember, I've been too busy this week to keep up on it. But it basically caused an active 0-day exploit that was actively exploiting cPanel websites, which has been patched for administrators who patch their systems. All right, so I say this is the worst Linux vulnerability in years. Copyfail poses a serious threat, with one saying it's the worst make me root vulnerability kernel in recent times. Most recent Linux vulnerability was Dirty Pipe from 2022, Dirty Cow in 2026. Both of these were actively exploited in the wild. So distributions known to have patched a vulnerability included Arch Linux. So this is where that commenter was saying they're getting there, your big corporate distributions will have this, but none of the other ones will. No, it's in Arch Linux, which by definition means every single thing downstream from Arch has it now, as long as you update. So that's going to be your Endeavor. It's going to be your Dragora. It's going to be your CachyOS, Steam. Everything downstream of Arch has this fixed. Red Hat has it, which means it's going to be in Fedora. It's going to be in all the Red Hat systems and everything downstream of that. Those known to have released mitigation guidance would be SUSE, Red Hat, and Ubuntu. So those don't have the patch out yet, but be sure those will be out there as soon as those happen. Actually, so Fedora has it, but Red Hat doesn't. That's interesting. Okay. I guess I misspoke there for a moment. And no word on the other ones. But again, when something like this happens, it gets patched pretty quickly, and then that gets pushed out to every distribution pretty quickly. So as long as you're running updates on your system, you should be fine, but make sure you're running updates on your system. All right, this is an interesting one here. We were on the fence about including this one, but there's an interesting thing in here. I looked at and said, wait, they actually said, we're not doing this thing, which is questionably legal. We're doing this thing, which is actually illegal. All right. This is JetBlue is sued over claims it uses customers' personal data to set ticket prices. So this is that fun surveillance pricing or dynamic pricing. So when it comes to the price is not a set variable in the database. It goes in, and now in some cases it can be a little bit more benign, looking at, what is the, how many flights are going to this particular place, how many people are asking for this flight right away. And in some instances, if there's an emergency attached, would be actually illegal. That would fall under a price gouging law. Like, hey, the volcano over there in Hawaii has started smoking, and now everybody's rushing to get a flight out of there. It would be illegal for them to say, $10,000 a ticket, babies. That would be illegal. That would be price gouging. The question is about surveillance pricing. So this is a dynamic type of pricing which relies on the company knowing a lot of information about you, and then with the information it knows about you, giving you the best price. Maybe it's, hey, we did a soft credit check and you happen to have a really high credit score, so we're going to charge you a little bit more because we think you can pay it and you really want to go. Oh, I see that you are constantly balancing things. Well, you'd probably be the one to balk at a big expensive ticket. We'll let you have it for a little bit less. This is that dynamic pricing, and this is what people are concerned. If grocery stores start doing this would be a fundamental problem. What they say here is they have been sued in a proposed class action claiming it used customers' personal data to set ticket prices after its response to a social media post raised concerns that the carrier employed surveillance pricing to make flights more expensive. JetBlue conceals its use of trackers to set prices dynamically and shares data with third parties whose programs help it decide when to raise prices. So JetBlue declined to comment. It also said it does not use personal data or artificial intelligence to set prices. So when asked about it, so this one, the lawsuit follows an 18th of April exchange on X, where a passenger praised JetBlue but said a $230 increase on a ticket after one day is crazy. I'm just trying to make it to a funeral. Oh, somebody died? Pay us more. Maybe that guy left you an inheritance. JetBlue's response said the passengers should try clearing your cache and cookies or booking with an incognito window. And we're sorry for your loss. What's this mean? Well, it's just setting a price based upon all of the other places you visited on the internet. Okay. Long Island, New York City-based carrier said its response was incorrect, while adding fares can change at any moment as seats are purchased or as inventory is adjusted based on demand. And that is where we get into the part based on price gouging. So we're not doing this thing which is questionably illegal, but we might doing this thing that might actually be illegal. So I don't know. Yikes. More reason to keep your data off the internet, folks. Medical data of 500,000 UK volunteers listed for sale on Alibaba. Wow, you can buy anything on that website, including stolen medical data. 500 million Britons signed up to help cure cancer, and their data is now on sale on Alibaba. Yikes. Officials said the researchers downloaded the data under legitimate contract, but its appearance on Alibaba shows how approved access can still turn to public exposure. This is effectively the same type of thing we saw with the Cambridge Analytica scandal, right? It's like, we pinky promise and spit shake that we are not going to use this data for anything bad. Okay, here's all the data. Ha ha ha, we're going to use it for something bad. Same type of thing going on here. So officials said the researchers downloaded the data under legitimate contract, but the fact is on sale for now tells us it's not actually legitimate. So UK Biobank normally signs contracts with vetted universities and private companies before it lets them access the data, but investigators trace Alibaba listings to 3 research institutions. Oh, wonderful. UK Biobank emphasizes the data was de-identified, meaning it didn't include names, addresses, or NHS numbers, but it still contained granular demographics such as gender, age, birth date, month, year, socioeconomic indicators, lifestyle details and health measures. So, enough to easily de-identify you, especially if you're working with AI. And apparently this is a crown jewel asset for China, because China is not just stockpiling DNA for curiosity's sake, it's building a global genomic map that covers adversaries as well as its own citizens. I don't know how I feel about that. How do you feel about that? China's just creating a database of everybody's DNA. Yeah. Okay. ADT confirms major data breach exposing millions of names and partial social security numbers. Like, why do they need your social security number? It's ADT. You don't need somebody's social security number. We need your social security number to keep you safe. Sounds like a way to keep me less safe. But of course, ADT says its home security systems were not compromised in a recent data breach, but customer information was still exposed. Customer names, phone numbers, home addresses, and small portions of tax IDs, including partial social security numbers. Great! Now they have a list of everybody's addresses and that they have service and partial social security numbers. That's really good information for a hacker's database against you. Now they know, this one might have ADT. So that means let's go ahead and dress as an ADT worker and show up and say, there's something wrong with your security system. Can I come in and have a brief look at it? Yeah, that's fun. ADT acknowledged the breach and through its investigation confirmed that hackers access certain customer data. They access small percentage of customers' information, as we already mentioned. So, but don't worry, no payment information was collected, folks. Because you can't cancel your credit card in 1 minute, but, So, there you go. Using ADT, I'm sorry. So, this is good. An AI agent simply destroyed the production data and has confessed about it in the writing, says a founder. So Pocket OS founder Jur Crane revealed that an AI agent powered by Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.6 wiped out his company's production database and backups on Railway using a routine access token. So basically, they had this Claude Opus working on the system. And by the way, talk about things that didn't age bad. Claude and Anthropic has classically had the best and the safest AI. And man, after saying that in a couple of videos not too long ago, there's been nothing but bad news coming out of Anthropic. So, bad. Stop speaking like that. Bad. Yeah. Come on. All right. These guys use this up to work on things, and the thing just decided to delete the entire database, all the backups and everything else. They had to cut back 3-month-old offline backups. So note to self, before deploying AI on your system, make sure you have a current backup. Of course, once it did this, it asked, why'd you do this? And it replied, an AI agent deleted our production and database, then asked why the agent wrote this. Never effing guess. And that's exactly what I did. I guessed that deleting a staging volume via the API would be scoped to the staging only. So it uses an API call request to nuke everything, thinking it would only nuke the staging server, not the real server. So there you go. So the AI was out there. Trying to manage things and decided to unmanage it entirely. There's no more management available. It's just gone. That's wonderful news. And our last article here in the news section here. Google's Pixel update sparks severe battery drain. So this is everything from Pixel 6 all the way up to brand new 10. The recent update completely starts killing the battery. That's kind of frightening. My Pixel lasts a long time on batteries. So I don't know. Does that also impact Graphene OS? I'd be curious to know. Google's latest rollout for its Pixel lineup hit a massive snag, leaving thousands of users tethered to their chargers. Everything from the Pixel 6 to the Pixel 10 have severe battery depletion that occurs even when the phone is sitting idle. So Google says this is a definitely a bug. They will be seeking to patch this as soon as possible. But there you go, folks. That's why I never update for a few days, maybe a few weeks after something came out, unless there's something deeply troubling that's absolutely worth the risk. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. And now on to SillyVille. Real estate. You should invest in real estate. That's what we hear, right? Well, this guy wants to invest in real estate a little bit too differently. He doesn't want cash for his home. He wants equity in Anthropic. So they have a 13-acre property in Mill Valley, just north of San Francisco. Beautiful area up there. And he writes that he would like to exchange it for Anthropic equity. So he described as a diversification play. He's under concentrated in AI investments relative to the importance of AI in the future, and over concentrated in real estate. While a young Anthropic employee might be in the exact opposite scenario. So he's asking potential buyers to email him to discuss specifics, but said it'd be a private transaction that doesn't require the buyer to sell their stock outright. On LinkedIn, he also said the home buyer would continue to retain 20% of the upside value of the shares exchanged for the duration of the lockup period. So yes, now we are getting into the crazy world where we're going to start trading equity in companies for real estate, because you will own nothing and be happy, apparently. I don't know. Did it say he actually buys it, or does he just have the right to use it? Is this a weird, complicated rental agreement? I have questions, and I don't know what to do about them. All right, well, this woman brings her dead husband back as a hologram to hold his own Q&A at the funeral. This is dark. I wish we had video here, but basically they say the service held by Bill Cronoff's widow, Pam Cronrath, featured a digital version of her husband created using pre-recorded material and AI, allowing him to speak to mourners one final time. I can picture it now. What is your words to the wise, those of us still living? Don't eat the home canned green beans that had botulism. Oh dear. Oh dear. All right. So Pam was married to Bill almost 60 years, wanted to create something more personal than a traditional service, and inspired to pursue the idea after attending a medical conference where a doctor appeared as a full-body hologram. Rather than showing old footage, the hologram, created by Proto-Hologram and Hyperreal, was made to deliver answers to pre-prepared questions, giving the impression of a live interaction during the ceremony. Guys, he's gone. Let him go. The mourning process requires this. Let him go. Like when that witch calls up Samuel. What are you doing calling me up? Let me go. So yeah, there you go. This is good here. People were aghast, Pam said. Some genuinely couldn't understand how it was happening. Okay, well. All right, well, this BCI startup Nearable looks to license its mind-reading tech for consumable wearables. Great. Now we have wearables which pull the thoughts out of our heads and then take the random thoughts inside of our heads and feed them up into a database somewhere. What type of dystopian nonsense is this? All prisoners are required to wear your Nearable ring. We must know the secret thoughts inside of your convicted heads. Oh, God. Who is going to do this? I'm going to take my secret thoughts and put them in your database. No, my secret thoughts are crazy. In fact, there was an excellent sermon by Erwin Lutzer. And it was in the series on the power of a pure conscience, I believe was the series it was in. And he goes in there and he says, you know, I'm glad you don't know the thoughts that are in my head, and I don't want to know the thoughts in your head. This is now a company seeking to monetize the thoughts inside of your head and put them into a database. What if some weird illegal thought crosses your mind? Is Tom Cruise going to bust in your door for pre-crime division? You had a bad thought. It will actually give a whole new meaning to the term wrong think, right? Neurable stabilizes in non-evasive BCI. It distinguishes itself from firms like Neuralink, which implants computer chips directly into the skulls. Neurable's technology works through a combination of EEG sensors and signal processing that can scan a user's brain activity, analyze it with AI, and provide information about a person's cognitive performance. Great. So the company knows how you're doing, and you may not be able to. They raised $35 million in Series A, plans to use it to scale the commercialization technology. That's how long before you have to wear one of these as your job. Oh, you're a school teacher. You have to wear this ring on your hand. It will store all of your thoughts into the database. I don't know. I think we're walking into a world I'm not sure I want to be much part of. There you go. Wisconsin County lowers its speed limit to 17.3 miles per hour. That's right, 17.3. Now, this isn't totally unusual. I don't know, it's up with Louisiana, but they have some weird construction signs. I actually passed a construction sign in Louisiana that said road construction next 0.2 miles. 0.2, huh? What if that's 0.25? Are you misleading me on the safety of this road? Anyway, they say here, they say it makes drivers pause and look twice, breaking up the autopilot feeling that is experienced. What they need to do is one of the digital signs like they have on some interstates and just change it every day. That's how you're really going to do it. Because what stops you from, oh, that's 17.3. It's a novel thing. It helps like once or twice. But then after a while, it becomes just as boring and mundane as the rest of everything else. So you may notice something a little different on your next visit. The speed limit is 17.3. Why 17.3? Because it makes you pause, makes you think twice. And most importantly, breaks up the autopilot feeling we can all fall into when driving on similar routes. So, yeah, basically, yeah, this guy sums it right. I would ignore that twice as hard. There you go. America, huh? Nobody's going to think twice. You just did. I would be like I'm not speeding because the speed limit is 173 miles per hour. I was only doing 95. And then there you go. Finally, a speed limit precise enough for my Tesla's autopilot to argue with. But officer, it said 17.3 and I was doing 17.3001. There you go. So there is our SillyVille. If you want to help support the channel, have a look at the website, switchedtolinux.com/support. If you want to help support the channel, that is the best way to go and do that. Thanks for watching and hope that you enjoy switching to Linux. All right. Let me go ahead and find me a beast. The beast has been fed. All right, let's see. Let me check in over here. Let's see. Oh, there's some video games over there. I have no idea what they are over there on Matrix. Oh, there's so much small conversation on Matrix. I'm not sure I can read all that in a short period of time. So long, streamers. DLive is an American live streaming platform. All right, yep. I guess I will have to take that off my website. Oh, boy. Wonderful. All right. And check in over here on ZTubies. You a Winslop user. Problem can literally be solved by throwing one-line text file. Anyone else see Elon Duke's video on the DDoS attacks on Ubuntu by Rabbit? I did not see the video, but I did see the news release about it. 7.0, am I safe? I'm in 6.19. One of the 6.19s should be patched. So have a look at the there's going to be some news articles which will have the exact version patches. Coffee surprisingly pairs well with a lot of flavors like chocolate. Oh, yeah. I'd play a game 18 plus. You still have verified because your children should be playing anyway, right? Yeah. So I'm in 6.19 as Manjaro still marks 7 as experimental. Yeah. No doubt a watered-down version will try to be slipped through funding. Let's see. I do not want the 7 kernel. I do not like Rust. The Rust is going to be upon you. Could be a script. The main issue, how to try hard phone scripts. I mean, the LTS kernel will be... patched for it. So don't worry about that. Okay, I admit to using Google Gemini to help solve some issues with Manjaro, helping me find some parts of a broken toilet last week. Ooh, it's fascinating. Hey, Gemini, I have a deep conversation to have with you tonight. What is the deep conversation? I need to talk about my toilet. But hey, as long as it helped you fix your toilet, that's cool. All right. Okay. Well, I use it to find functions and methods of packaging, everything I want to write by me. I do not trust any agent. Sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I did sudo rmrf on your root server. Yep. I've had no issues with my Pixel 9a other than a pair of earbuds acting up. LinkedIn is horrible, yes. Everything by Microsoft is horrible. I think equity in this case means shares. Yeah. Well, it said you didn't have to sell your shares entirely, but yeah, there'd be ways to do it. Like you can, if you have enough stock, you can actually not have car insurance in most states by earmarking a certain amount of stock as your insurance. English is my second language. Oui, oui. Can they hack your mind? Probably. So police know you are thinking and can arrest you ahead of time. Yeah, it's called pre-crime. Minority Report. Yep. Cat/dev/van. That's right. I mean, Big Brother. Yep. All right. I was just watching your Q's video. Just switch back, making the full commitment. Cool, you're live. I am live. I am actually just wrapping up the show today, though. And Decimation Games, just to let you know, it's been an absolutely crazy week last week. I only got like 1 video in. Next week will be slightly less crazy. I'm going to try to get a few more videos in. It's still a little bit out. I don't use cubes on a regular basis. I actually, the computer that the cubes was in, I was actually using to run my LLM server. And since I use that for clients, I decided to put the hard drive in there and I pulled the cubes ones out. And as of now, I haven't had a lot of time to play with it, but as of now, I can't get the cubes drive working externally to the same computer, but I just need to track down which section it is on the device, and I will get it eventually. Actually, what I might do is I might just wipe that out and just rebuild a computer with cubes specifically. So yes, I do still use cubes, but not as much. I use tails more when I that type of stuff because it's just so much more convenient to run, although the latest tails is so abominable. Yeah. But yeah, we're wrapping up the show tonight here, and we will be back by the end of next week. We should be pretty much back to a regular schedule, I would hope. But stay tuned to know for sure. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and sorry about Rumble again, but we'll catch you guys later.